The Galactic Council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive, ring-shaped station where thousands of alien species gather to keep peace. Across the stars, for 10,000 years this council had prevented wars, settled disputes, and maintained order among the countless civilizations that called the Milky Way their home. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the human section of the chamber, a small platform near the back. His hands gripped the railing as he watched the council debate. Around him, representatives from hundreds of worlds discussed the latest crisis. Some looked like giant insects, others appeared as floating clouds of gas. A few resembled nothing Earth had ever imagined, but none of them were taking the human problem seriously. The Cathresh Empire has destroyed Proxima Station, Chen said, his voice amplified across the chamber. 0 human civilians are dead. We demand action. Council Speaker Zarthon, a tall reptilian creature with silver scales, turned one large eye toward Chen. The movement seemed almost lazy, as if looking at a child who had interrupted adult conversation. Ambassador Chen, the council understands your concern, Arthon said. His voice carried the weight of centuries. However, humanity must understand its place. You joined our community only 50 years ago. You are a protected junior species. These matters require careful consideration. Chen felt his jaw tighten. Protected junior species. The title sounded nice, but it meant humanity had almost no rights. Earth could not build powerful weapons. Humans could not claim new territories. They could barely defend themselves under the treaties they had signed. Careful consideration. Chen kept his voice steady. While you consider the Cathar moving toward our other colonies, they will attack again. Across the chamber, Warm Master Krelak rose from the Cath section. He stood 3 meters tall, covered in black armor that seemed to absorb light. His species had conquered 40 star systems in the past century. The council had done nothing to stop them. The human whines like a wounded animal, Kreltak said, his voice a deep rumble. Proxima Station was built in disputed territory. We claimed it. They refused to leave. This is not our fault. Proxima was a civilian colony. Chen shot back. Then your civilian should not have been there. Keltag's mouth parts twisted into what might have been a smile. Perhaps humans should return to their single world and stop pretending they belong among the stars. Laughter rippled through parts of the chamber. Not all species joined in, but enough did to make Chen's face burn with anger and shame. Saran raised a clawed hand for silence. The council will investigate this incident. In the meantime, we advise both parties to avoid escalation. Ambassador Chen, perhaps Earth should recall its colonists from frontier regions for their safety. You mean surrender? Chen said quietly. I mean caution, Zarin replied. Your species is young, Ambassador. You have much to learn about galactic politics. Session ended shortly after. Chen walked through the station's corridors, his mind racing. Other ambassadors passed him, some nodding politely, others ignoring him completely. He had spent 5 years on this station, trying to gain respect for humanity, but to the Council, Earth would always be the newcomers, they primitives who barely understood faster than light travel. His communicator buzzed. Chen glanced at the message and felt his heart skip. It was from Admiral Elena Vasquez, commander of Earth's Defense Fleet. The message contained Only 2 words, they're coming. Chen found a secure communication booth and called back. Vasquez's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Behind her, the bridge of the flagship was busy with activity. The Cath fleet is moving, Vasquez said without greeting. Our long-range sensors picked them up an hour ago. 5,000 ships heading straight for Earth. Chen felt cold. 5,000, we have 50 ships. 48, Vasquez corrected. We lost 2 last week to engine failures. Chen, we cannot fight this force. The Council knows this. The Cath know this. They are coming to finish what they started. I will demand an emergency session, Chen said. The Council cannot allow the Council will do nothing. Vasquez's voice was flat. We both know this. They have watched the Cath conquer system after system. They write reports and hold debates and do nothing. We are alone. Chen looked at the Admiral's face on the screen. He had known Elena Vasquez for 15 years. She had been a captain when humanity first joined the Council. She had fought to build Earth's small defense fleet, working within the strict limitations the treaties imposed. She was a fighter, not someone who gave up easily, but now she looked defeated. How long do we have? Chen asked. At their current speed, 6 days until they reach Earth's solar system, maybe 7. If they slow down to gather their formation, we need to evacuate. 10 billion people in 6 days. Vasquez shook her head. Impossible. And where would they go? No Council world will take that many refugees. We both know that too. Chen sat down heavily. Then what do we do? Vasquez was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned closer to the screen, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. I need you to do something for me, Chen. I need you to send an official response to the Cath. Ultimatum. What ultimatum? They have not. They will send it in 3 hours. I have sources. Vasquez smiled slightly. When they demand our surrender, tell them humanity needs 72 hours to consider. Chen frowned. Why 72 hours? Elena, what are you planning? I am planning to follow orders, she said carefully. Orders from a chain of command you are not part of, but I need those 72 hours. Can you get them for us? The Council will pressure us to surrender immediately. I know, but you are a talented diplomat, Chen. You have spent 5 years learning how to talk in circles, how to delay, how to make meetings last forever. Use those skills. Now get us 3 days. Chen studied her face. There was something in her eyes, something he had not seen in years. Hope? No, not quite. It was something harder than hope. It was certainty. You have a plan, Chen said. Something you are not telling me. I have my orders. Vasquez repeated. That is all you need to know. Will you get us the time? Chen nodded slowly. I will do what I can. Good. Vasquez reached toward the screen. Chen, whatever happens in the next few days, remember this. Humanity did not come to the stars to bow. We came to stand tall. The communication ended. Chen sat in the dark booth for several minutes thinking. Vasquez was hiding something big. He could feel it. But what could she possibly do against 5,000 warships? His communicator buzzed again. This time it was a message from the Cath Empire. Chen opened it and read the words he had been expecting. To the primitive species of Earth, surrender your worlds within 12 hours or face total annihilation. This is your only warning. Chen smiled grimly and began composing his response. If Elena needed Time he would buy her every second he could. He wrote carefully using all the formal language and diplomatic phrases he had learned. His message was polite, respectful, and asked for 72 hours to allow Earth's government to properly consider such an important decision. He sent the message knowing the Cath would be furious at the delay, but they would grant it. They were arrogant enough to believe that 3 more days would make no difference. They thought they had already won. As Chen left the communication booth and headed back toward his quarters, he looked out of viewport at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth waited, his home world, hanging defenseless in space, about to face an enemy that could not be defeated. But Elena Vasquez had sounded certain she had a plan. Chen just hoped it was enough. The Cath Armada moved through space like a swarm of metal insects, 5,000 warships each one, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. They traveled in a formation that had conquered dozens of civilizations. At the center of the fleet, Warm Master Krelak stood in his command ship and watched the displays. How long until we reach the human home world, he asked. 4 days, Warm Master, one of his officers replied. The humans have requested 3 days to consider surrender. Krelak's mouth parts clicked together in amusement. Let them have their time. It will make no difference. Have they begun evacuating their planet? Yes, Warm Master, our scouts report thousands of civilian ships fleeing Earth. Their military vessels remain in orbit, but they are not preparing defensive positions. Of course not, Krelak said. They know they cannot win. This will be simple. We will destroy their military, claim their world, and the Council will write another of their useless reports. By the time they finish debating, humanity will be a memory. He turned away from the displays, confident in his victory. Behind him, the great fleet continued forward, unstoppable as a force of nature. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched Earth grow larger on the screens around her. Officers worked quietly at their stations. They all knew what was coming. They had all made their peace with it. Or so they thought. Admiral incoming. Communication from Luna Command, her communications officer said. Encrypted. Channel eyes only. Vasquez nodded and moved to her private ready room. She sealed the door and activated the screen. The face that appeared belonged to General Marcus Stone, the highest ranking military officer in the solar system. He looked old and tired, but his eyes were sharp. Elena, he said simply. Marcus, are we ready? We have been ready for 40 years, Stone replied. The question is whether this will work. We have never tested it in real combat. We have never even taken it out of the hangar. We built it for this exact situation, Vasquez said. The Council gave us restrictions. They told us what we could not build, so we built something different, something they never imagined. Stone nodded slowly. I'm sending you the access codes now. Luna Base Omega will respond to your command, but Elena, once you give the order, there is no going back. Galaxy will know what we have done. Some will call it brilliant, others will call it the worst treaty violation in history. We never signed their weapons treaties, Vasquez said. We only agreed not to build ships using their technology. This is our technology. Human engineering, human innovation. The Council will not see it that way. The Council is not about to be invaded by the Cath. Vasquez shot back. We are When your home is threatened, you use every tool you have. If they wanted us to follow their rules, they should have protected us when we needed it. Stone smiled slightly, spoken like a true warrior. Very well, Admiral. Luna Base Omega is yours to command. The facility is fully staffed and ready. They have been waiting for this moment for decades. Some of them have spent their entire careers on this project, never able to tell their families what they really do. I know, Vasquez said quietly. I was stationed there for 3 years early in my career before I was promoted to the public fleet. I know what we have built. I know what it can do. Then you also know what happens if it fails. The Cath will destroy Earth. Humanity will cease to exist as a free species. It will not fail, Vasquez said with certainty. She did not completely feel. How can it? We designed it specifically to fight enemies like this. We studied every battle the Cath ever fought. We analyzed every weapon system the Council species use. We built something to counter all of it. Stone nodded. Then I will leave it in your capable hands. Good hunting, Admiral. The communication ended. Vasquez sat alone in her ready room for a moment, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. She thought about the crews at Luna Base Omega. Thousands of people who had worked in secret for 4 decades, engineers who could not tell their spouses what they built, scientists who published false research to hide their real discoveries, construction workers who spent years in the darkness of the moon's far side, building something the galaxy had never seen, all for this moment. Vasquez activated her command console and entered a series of codes that few people in the universe knew. The screen flickered and changed, showing a new communication channel. This one did not appear on any official records. Luna Base Omega, this is Admiral Vasquez. Authorization code Ragnarok Dawn. Repeat. Ragnarok Dawn. There was a pause, then a voice responded, calm and professional. Authorization confirmed. Admiral Luna Base Omega is now under your command. All systems are online. The Indomitable awaits your orders. Vasquez felt her heartbeat faster. Begin pre-launch sequence. Warm up all weapon systems. Prepare for combat operations in 72 hours. Understood, Admiral. Beginning pre-launch sequence now. Vasquez closed the channel and returned to the bridge. Her officers looked up as she entered, but none of them asked questions. They had learned not to over the years. The Admiral had secrets, and those secrets were necessary. Status of the civilian evacuation, Vasquez asked, proceeding as planned. Admiral, her executive officer replied, most non-essential personnel are already leaving Earth's orbit. The transports will continue for another 60 hours. Good. And our fleet, all 48 ships, are in position around Earth. Weapon systems are ready. The crews know this might be their last battle. They are prepared to give everything. Vasquez nodded. They will not have to, but they must maintain their positions until the moment arrives. The Cathresh must believe we are preparing for a conventional defense. Admiral, her tactical officer said carefully. With respect, we cannot defend against 5,000 ships. Even if we fight perfectly, we will be destroyed in minutes. I know, Vasquez said. That is what the Cath believe. That is what the Council believes. That is what everyone in the galaxy believes about humanity. We are weak. We are primitive. We are easy targets. She smiled then, and something in that smile made her officers sit up. Straighter, but we are also clever. Vasquez continued, and we are stubborn. And we do not surrender easily. The Cath are about to learn this lesson, so is the rest of the galaxy, on the moons. Far side where no telescopes from Earth could see and no council satellites could monitor, massive doors began to open. They were hidden in the rock, camouflaged so perfectly that they appeared to be natural crater formations, but they were not natural. They were the largest hangar doors ever, built by human hands. Inside the hangar, something vast waited in the darkness. It had no lights active, its systems ran in silent mode, but slowly, carefully. Power began to flow through its massive frame. Reactors that had idled for years started to build energy. Weapon systems that had never been fired in combat ran through diagnostic checks, and artificial intelligence that had been designed specifically for warfare began to wake from its long sleep. The ship was 15 km long. It massed more than Earth's entire public fleet combined. Its armor was made from materials that did not officially exist. Its weapons were based on theories that human scientists had developed in secret, hidden from council oversight. Its engines used technology that the galaxy believed was impossible. For 40 years, humanity had poured resources into this single vessel. They had bankrupted colony funds, divert materials, and told everyone it was for mining operations. They had lied to the council. They had lied to their own people. They had built this ship in absolute secret because they knew that one day they would need it. That day had arrived. Deep in the ship's core, Captain James Rodriguez sat in the commander's chair and watched his crew work. He was 53 years old. He had joined this project when he was 25, fresh from the academy. He had spent nearly 30 years stationed at Luna Base Omega, unable to tell anyone what he really did. His family thought he worked in lunar mining. His friends believed he was a bureaucrat, but he was a warship captain, and his ship was about to chain the galaxy forever. All stations report. Ready, Captain, his first officer said. The Indomitable is prepared for launch. Rodriguez nodded. Maintain pre-launch status. We launch when Admiral Vasquez gives the word, not before. The timing on this must be perfect. Understood, sir. Rodriguez looked at the main view screen, which showed the hangar doors slowly opening above them. Soon, very soon, they would fly through those doors. They would emerge from hiding and reveal themselves to a galaxy that thought it knew humanity's capabilities. He smiled grimly. The Cath were coming, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They believed they were about to crush a weak, defenseless species. They were wrong. Humanity had teeth, sharp ones, and the Cathresh were about to feel them. The Cath fleet entered Earth's solar system like conquerors returning home. 5,000 warships dropped out of faster than light travel in perfect formation. Their sensors immediately began scanning for targets, their weapons powered up, ready to ray destruction on the primitive human world. Warm Master Keltak stood on his command bridge and looked at the tactical display. Earth floated ahead, a small blue marble surrounded by 48 human warships. Such a tiny force, almost insulting. The humans have not fled, his tactical officer reported. Their military vessels remain in defensive positions around their home world. Fools, Krell said, they choose to die with their planet. How noble, how pointless. He turned to his Communications officer, send them a final message, tell them they have one last chance to surrender, after that we begin the assault. The message was transmitted on Admiral Vasquez's flagship. The communication officer looked up. Sir, the Cath are offering final surrender terms. Ignore it, Vasquez said calmly. She checked her chronometer. We have 6 hours until they enter optimal firing range. Are all civilian ships clear of the combat zone? Yes, Admiral. The last transport departed 30 minutes ago. Good. Vasquez activated her secure channel to Luna Base Omega. Captain Rodriguez status report. On the far side of the moon. Rodriguez responded immediately. All systems are green, Admiral. The Indomitable is ready to launch on your command. Stand by, Vasquez said. She switched to a different channel, this one connecting her to the entire human fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Vasquez. You have all served with honor. You have protected Earth when the Council would not. In a few hours the Cath will attack. They believe they have already won. They are about to learn otherwise. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. Some of you know about Project Ragnarok, most of you do not. That is about to change. When the battle begins, follow your orders exactly. Maintain your positions, trust in the plan, and remember, we are not just fighting for Earth today. We are showing the entire galaxy what humanity can do. Across the fleet, captains and crew members looked at each other with confusion and hope. Project Ragnarok. What was that? But they trusted their Admiral. If she said there was a plan, then there was a plan. The Cath fleet moved forward slowly, savoring their approach. They were in no hurry. Humans had nowhere to run. Warm Master. We are detecting unusual energy readings from the human moon, a sensor operator reported. Krelak glanced at the data. Probably mining equipment powering down. Or perhaps weapons that are overloading. Ignore it. Focus on the military vessels. Yes, Warm Master, but the energy readings did not stop. They grew stronger and stronger. Deep beneath the lunar surface, massive power conduits channeled energy to the hangar doors. Hydraulic systems that could move mountains grown to life. The doors, each 110 km wide, swung open completely, and something emerged from the darkness. At first it looked like a shadow, dark shape against the already dark surface of the moon, but as it rose into space, lights began to activate along its hull. Running lights traced the outline of something impossibly large, something that should not exist. Indomitable cleared the lunar hangar and hung in space for a moment. 15 km of human engineering built in secret, hidden from the galaxy for 4 decades. Its armor was angular and aggressive, covered in reactive plating that could deflect energy weapons. Its surface bristled with thousands of weapon ports, each one capable of independent targeting. Its engines glowed with power from zero-point energy cores that pushed the boundaries of physics. It was not beautiful. It was not elegant. It looked like exactly what it was, a warship designed by a species that understood violence, built by engineers who had studied every weakness in galactic military doctrine, and crewed by people who refused to bow. On the Cathrish flagship, alarms began screaming. Every sensor suddenly focused on the moon. The tactical display updated, showing the massive vessel that had appeared. Warm Master, the tactical officer's voice cracked with shock. We Have a contact, massive contact, it is. 15 km long. Energy output is off the scale. How did we miss this? Keltec stared at the display, his mind struggling to process what he was. Seeing that is impossible, we scanned this system. There was nothing there. The humans have no ships of that size. The Council would have known. The treaty's war master, it is powering. Weapons, multiple weapons. I am reading. Thousands of individual targeting. System, the Indomitable oriented itself toward the Cath fleet on its bridge. Captain Rodriguez sat calmly in his command chair. Around him his crew worked with the precision of people who had trained for this moment their entire lives. All stations confirm ready status. His weapons officer reported, we have firing solutions on all Cathresh vessels. Hold fire, Rodriguez said. Admiral Vasquez has the command authority on her flagship. Vasquez watched the Indomitable on her screens. She felt pride swell in her chest. This was humanity's answer to those who called them weak. This was what happened when you pushed humans into a corner and told them they could not defend themselves. Open a channel to the Cathresh fleet. Vasquez ordered, let me speak to their war arm master. A moment later, Kreltak's face appeared on her screen. He looked confused and angry, his usual confidence shaken. What is this? Krlak demanded. What have you done? We have built a ship, Vasquez said simply. One ship. You said humanity was weak. You said we could not defend ourselves. You were wrong. The treaties you violated. We violated nothing, Vasquez interrupted. We agreed not to build weapons using Council technology. This ship uses human technology, our designs, our innovations. We followed the letter of every law. You just assumed we could not develop anything on our own. That was your mistake. Keltak's eyes narrowed. One ship. You have built one ship. I have 5,000. You cannot defeat us. I am giving you 30 seconds to reverse course and leave this system. Vasquez said calmly. After that we will demonstrate exactly what this ship can do. Choose wisely, warm master. Kelak's face twisted with rage. You dare threaten me? You dare threaten the Cath Empire? We have conquered 40 worlds. We will add yours to the list. He cut the communication and turned to his weapons. Officer, all ships target that abomination. Fire everything. 500K. Thresh warships opened fire simultaneously. Plasma torpedoes streak across space. Particle beams lanced out, bright enough to blind unprotected eyes. Missiles launched by the thousands, each one carrying enough explosive power to level a city. The barrage hit the Indomitable in a spectacular light show. Energy splashed across its hull. Explosions bloomed against its armor. For a moment the ship disappeared in a cloud of fire and destruction. The Cath crews cheered. Surely nothing could survive that much firepower. But when the explosions cleared, the Indomitable still floated there. Its shields had absorbed the worst of the attack. Its armor had deflected what got through. Few scorch marks marred its hull, but otherwise it was completely undamaged. On the Indomitable's bridge, Rodriguez smiled. Well, that was rude. Weapons. Officer, you may return fire. Authorization pattern. Demonstration of force. Yes, sir. Engaging targets. The Indomitable's weapons came alive. First, the rail guns activated. These were not energy weapons that the Cath were used. 2. These were physical projectiles. Tungsten rods accelerated to a Significant fraction of the speed of light by electromagnetic force. They did not need to be large. At those speeds, a rod the size of a telephone pole carried the kinetic energy of a tactical nuclear weapon. The rail guns fired in a carefully choreographed sequence. Thousands of rounds launched in the space of seconds. They crossed the distance to the Cath fleet so fast that the alien ships had no time to react. 200 Cath warships simply ceased to exist. The tungsten rods punched through their armor like it was paper, carrying so much kinetic energy that the ships exploded from the inside out. Debris clouds expanded where proud warships had been just moments before. The Cath fleet fell into chaos. Ships broke formation trying to scatter. But the Indomitable's targeting AI was already adjusting. Point defense lasers activated next, thousands of them across the hull. They created a web of light, dome of destruction that intercepted every missile, every torpedo that the Cath fired. Secondary weapons, engage. Rodriguez ordered. Missile tubes along the Indomitable's flanks opened, but these were not ordinary missiles. They were smart munitions, each one with its own targeting computer and engine. They launched in swarms, thousands of them, moving independently to seek out Cath ships. When they hit, they did not just explode. They punched through armor and detonated inside the enemy vessels, destroying them from within. Another 300 Cath ships died in the space of minutes. Warm Master Raster, the tactical officer on Kelleck's flagship, was screaming, "Now we have lost 500 ships. Our weapons are not penetrating their shields. We cannot fight this." Krelleck stared at the tactical display in horror. In his entire military career, he had never faced defeat. The Cath Empire had been unstoppable, but now this one human ship was tearing through his fleet like a predator among prey. All ships concentrate fire on a single point. Keltec ordered. We will overwhelm their shields. 1,000 Cath ships focused their weapons on one. The news spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Communication. Every species, every civilization, every member of the Galactic Council received the same message. Humanity had defeated the Cath Empire, not through diplomacy, not through council intervention, through overwhelming military force from a ship that should not exist. The battle footage played on 1 million screens across 1,000 worlds. News broadcasts showed the Indomitable emerging from the moon. They showed the K-Thresh fleet's confident attack. They showed 500 warships dying in the first minutes of combat, and they showed the antimatter cannon erasing the Cath flagship from existence. On the council station, Speaker Zarthon watched the recordings for the 5th time. His clawed hands gripped the edge of his desk. Around him, his advisors stood in shocked silence. How did we miss this? Zaran asked quietly. How did they build something this large, this powerful, without our knowledge? They used the far side of their moon, one advisor said. Our monitoring satellites cannot see that region. They claimed it was a restricted mining zone. We had no reason to investigate, no reason. Zaran's voice rose. They built a weapon that can destroy fleets, a weapon that violates every military treaty we have established. Actually, Speaker, it does not. Another advisor stepped forward holding a data pad. I have reviewed the relevant treaties. Humanity never signed the weapons limitation accord. They never agreed to the technology sharing agreement. When they joined the council, we granted them protected junior species status, which actually exempted them from those specific treaties. That cannot be correct. It is Speaker. We assumed they would follow our weapons guidelines. Because everyone does, we assumed they lacked the capability to develop advanced military technology on their own. Both assumptions were wrong. Zarin sat down heavily. Assemble an emergency council session immediately. Every species must be informed. We need to decide how to respond to this. The council chamber filled within hours. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered, all talking at once. Normal order and dignity of the chamber was gone, replaced by chaos and fear. Some species demanded that humanity be sanctioned. Others suggested forming alliances with Earth. A few quietly calculated how to steal this new technology. Ambassador Chen Wei stood at the human platform, watching the disorder. He felt a grim satisfaction. For 5 years he had begged this council to take humanity seriously. For 5 years they had patronized him, dismissed him, treated Earth as an irrelevant curiosity. Now they could not stop talking about humanity. Speaker Zarthun finally restored order. The council recognizes Ambassador Chen. Explain your species' actions. Chen stepped forward. There is little to explain, honored Speaker. 40 years ago humanity joined the council. We were told we were protected. We were told to trust the system. We were told that if we followed the rules we would be safe. He paused, letting his words hang in the air. But when the Cath destroyed our colony, the council did nothing. When they threatened our home world, you offered only sympathy. You advised us to surrender, to abandon our planet, to trust that you would eventually perhaps consider taking action. The council cannot act hastily. Zarin began. The council cannot act at all. Chen's voice cut through the chamber. You debate while civilizations burn. You write reports while species die. We realized years ago that we could not depend on you for our security, so we took responsibility for our own defense by building a dreadnought in secret. Another representative of being made of crystalline structures spoke up. This is deception. This undermines the trust that the council is built upon. We built a ship using our own technology. Chen replied calmly. We violated no laws because we signed no weapons treaties. We were very careful about that. You may review our membership documents. You will find that we agreed to your trade regulations, your territorial boundaries, your cultural exchange programs, but we never agreed to limit our military development. This is semantics, the crystalline being argued. No, Chen said firmly, this is survival. You call it deception, I call it prudence. You claim we undermine trust. I say you failed to protect us when we needed it. The Cath came to destroy Earth. Where was the council? Where was the trust you promised? The chamber fell silent. Chen pressed his advantage. For 10,000 years you have maintained peace, but you have maintained it through bureaucracy and delay, not through strength. You have grown comfortable, slow, afraid to act. The Cath knew this. That is why they have conquered 40 systems while you wrote reports about them, and you stopped them with violence. Zarin said with overwhelming force. You destroyed thousands of ships. Millions of Cath warriors died. They came to kill 10 billion humans. Chen replied, they chose violence. We simply responded to it. Would you have Preferred we die peacefully, does that fit better with your vision of order? Another representative spoke up, this one from a species that resembled enormous insects. Ambassador Chen, we understand your position, but you must see our concern. This ship of yours, it is more powerful than anything we have seen in centuries. It changes the balance of power in the galaxy. How can we trust that humanity will not use it to conquer as the Cath did? Chen was quiet for a moment. This was a fair question, and it deserved a real answer. You cannot trust us, he said finally. Just as we learned we cannot trust you. Trust must be earned through actions, not words. We did not build the Indomitable to conquer. We built it to survive, but we will keep it, and we will build more if necessary, because we will never again put our fate in the hands of a council that moves too slowly to protect its own members. More. Zaran's eyes widened. You are building more of these ships? Chin smiled slightly. Did you think we would build only one? The Indomitable has 3 sister ships in various stages of completion. They will be finished within 2 years. We are not hiding this information. In fact, we are being very open about it. We want the galaxy to know that humanity is no longer defenseless. We want every would-be conqueror to think very carefully before threatening human worlds. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species called for sanctions, others demanded inspections of human facilities. A few quietly approached Chen about trade agreements and potential alliances. Admiral Vasquez watched the council broadcast from her flagship. Beside her stood Captain Rodriguez, who had taken a shuttle from the Indomitable to join her. They watched as Ambassador Chen defended humanity's actions with calm precision. He is good at this, Rodriguez observed. Better than I would be. I would have told them all to go to hell. That is why Chen is the diplomat and you are the warrior, Vasquez said with a slight smile. He knows how to speak their language. He knows how to turn their own rules against them. Will they sanction us? They cannot. We broke no laws, and now they are afraid of us, which is exactly what we need. Fear commands respect in a way that politeness never does. A communication came through. Admiral, we are receiving requests for information from 17 different species. They want technical specifications on the Indomitable. They want to know about our weapon systems. Some are offering trade deals in exchange for military technology. Deny all requests, Vasquez said. We share nothing. The Indomitable and her sisters remain human secrets. Let them wonder. Let them worry. Yes, Admiral. Rodriguez looked out at the Earth, visible through the flagship's viewport. Do you think this changes things? Really changes them? Yes, Vasquez said. Before today, humanity was a protected junior species, a footnote in galactic history. Now we are a military power. The Council will have to negotiate with us as equals. Other species will seek our friendship or fear our enmity. We have forced our way to the table, James, by building something they could not ignore. The Cathresh survivors will want revenge. Let them want it. Their fleet is shattered. Their war master is dead. It will take them decades to rebuild, and by then we will have 4 dreadnoughts. They will not threaten us again. On the Council station, the emergency set continued for hours. Finally, Zaran called for a vote. The Council must decide. Do we recognize humanity's actions as legitimate self-defense, or Do we classify them as treaty violations? Requiring sanctions, the vote was close. But in the end, fear won out over principle. No species wanted to make an enemy of the power that had destroyed. The Cath Fleet, the Council officially recognized humanity's right to self-defense and quietly updated their records to classify Earth as a major military power. Ambassador Chen received the news with satisfaction. He immediately sent a message back to Earth, to the President and the military leadership. It is done. We are no longer junior members. The galaxy will treat us as equals. In the human section of the Council Station, a party began. The small human staff celebrated their new status. They had been treated as servants and children for 5 years now. Suddenly, other species were approaching them with respect, offering deals, seeking favor, but Chen did not join the celebration. He stood alone at a viewport looking at the stars. He thought about the 3,000 humans who had died 3 months after the Battle of Earth, as the historians were calling it. The galaxy had changed, not all at once, not dramatically, but in small ways that added up to something significant. The Cath Empire sued for peace within a week of their defeat. Their remaining fleet limped back to their home systems, their warships damaged and their pride shattered. The warrior culture that had driven them to conquer 40 worlds suddenly faced the reality that they were not invincible. Their Senate executed the surviving military commanders and sued for immediate peace terms. Ambassador Chen negotiated those terms personally. He sat across from Keith diplomats who would not meet his eyes. The terms were harsh but fair. The Cath would return all conquered territories from the past decade. They would pay reparations to Proxima Station survivors, and they would never again threaten human space. Cath agreed to everything. They had no choice. The Indomitable remained on active patrol, a constant reminder of what would happen if they broke the peace. But the Cath were not the only ones who noticed humanity's new status. Within weeks, 17 species requested formal diplomatic meetings with Earth. Some wanted trade agreements, others proposed military alliances. A few, the more ambitious ones, quietly asked if humanity would be interested in selling dreadnought technology. The answer was always near it. Admiral Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched as construction crews worked on the ship's sister vessel visible through the viewport. The second dreadnought, named the Relentless, was taking shape in orbit above Mars. It would be finished in 8 months. The third and fourth ships, the Dauntless and the Valiant, were being built at facilities near Jupiter. Quite a view, Captain Rodriguez said, joining her at the viewport. He had been promoted to admiral himself, given command of the second dreadnought once it was completed. It is, Vasquez agreed. I remember when we started Project Ragnarok, we had nothing but blueprints and hope. Half the council thought we were primitives who barely understood fusion power. Now they are begging to buy our secrets. Are we selling? Not a chance. The president was clear. Human technology stays human. We will trade food, medicine, art, entertainment, but weapons, no. We learned that lesson watching the council species fight each other with borrowed technology. Innovation is our edge. We keep it. Rodriguez nodded. The crews are adjusting well. Most of them spent years training in secret, never knowing if they would actually see combat. Now they are the most famous military personnel In human history, it is strange for them, strange for all of us, Vasquez said. 6 months ago, I commanded 48 outdated ships and hoped we would never need to fight. Now I command the most powerful warship in the known galaxy. The president wants me to start an academy, train a new generation of dreadnought commanders. Will you do it? Eventually. First, I want to make sure we understand what we have built. The indomitable performed beyond expectations in combat, but we only fought one battle. We need more data, more training, more understanding of its capabilities. On the council station, changes were happening too. The chamber had been restructured. Humanity now had a permanent seat on the Security Council, the inner group that made the real decisions. Ambassador Chen sat in that seat, representing Earth alongside 5 other major powers. The other Security Council members treated him with cautious respect. None of them had forgotten the footage of the Cath fleet being destroyed. None of them wanted their worlds to be the next target of human weapons. Ambassador Chen, we need to discuss the proposal from the Vidian cluster, Speaker Zarthan said during one session. They are requesting council protection from the score raiders. How does humanity vote? Chen reviewed the data on his console. The Vidian cluster was a group of peaceful agricultural worlds being attacked by pirates. In the past, the council would have debated for months before taking any action, but things had changed. Humanity votes to approve immediate military intervention. Chen said the score raiders are criminals, not soldiers. This should be a simple peacekeeping mission. The other Security Council members looked at each other. One of them, a vapor-based being named Thesix, spoke up. Ambassador, are you volunteering human forces for this mission? No, Chen said. This is exactly the kind of situation where the Council's existing peacekeeping forces should be sufficient. We are not the galaxy's police force. We are one member among many, but we expect the Council to actually act when action is needed. That is why we have reformed this body. It was true. The Security Council reforms had been Chen's first major initiative. The old system where any member could delay action indefinitely was gone. How? The Security Council could authorize military action with a simple majority vote. Deployments happened in days instead of months. The galaxy was discovering that an effective council was better than a slow one. Pirates found themselves facing coordinated responses. Aggressive empires learned that expansion would be met with force. The Council, equipped with humanity's example, was finally doing what it was supposed to do, keeping the peace. But not everyone was happy with the changes. In a dark corner of the galaxy, on a world that did not officially exist, representatives from 12 species met in secret. They were the ones who had benefited from the old council's ineffectiveness: warlords, pirates, corrupt officials, and empire builders. They watched humanity's rise with growing anger. The humans have upset everything, one of them said, a insectoid creature with scarred armor. Before they revealed their dreadnought, we had freedom to act. The council was slow and stupid. Now they move quickly. They enforce laws. Trade in illegal goods is becoming impossible. More than that, another speaker said. This one reptilian, humanity has proven that a species can develop powerful weapons in secret. Other races are trying to copy them. We have intelligence reports of at least 6 species starting their own dreadnought programs. Then we must act before the galaxy becomes too dangerous. A third voice said, the humans have 4 dreadnoughts, we represent 12 species. If we combined our fleets, we could match their numbers. And then what? The insectoid asked. Attack Earth. You saw what happened to the Cath. They brought 5,000 ships and lost. The Cath fought stupidly. They attacked head-on with no strategy. We would be smarter. We would strike the construction facilities. We would destroy the incomplete dreadnoughts. Before they launch, we would human military production. The group debated for hours. Some wanted immediate action, others counseled patience. But they all agreed on one thing. Humanity had become a problem that needed to be solved. On Earth, in a secure military facility, President Sarah Martinez reviewed the intelligence reports. Surveillance satellites had detected the secret meeting. Analysts had identified most of the participants. The threat was clear. She called a meeting with Admiral Vasquez, Ambassador Chen, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They gathered in the Situation Room deep beneath the presidential complex. They are planning something, Martinez said. Without preamble, 12 species, all with reasons to hate the new order we have created. What are our options? We could strike first. One of the generals suggested. Hit their facilities before they are ready. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth. No, Chen said firmly. That makes us the aggressors. It makes us the very thing we claimed we were not. Conquerors who use military force to impose our will. We would lose all the political capital we have built. Chen is right, Vasquez agreed, but we cannot ignore the threat either. I propose we accelerate the completion of the Relentless and Dauntless, get them operational ahead of schedule, and we increase patrols in strategic areas. Make it clear that we are watching. Martinez nodded. What about our intelligence capabilities? Can we infiltrate these groups? Already working on it, the intelligence director said. We have assets in most of their organizations, but these are paranoid species. They use encryption. We are still learning to break. Then we adapt. Martinez said, we always have. That is what humanity does. They think they can threaten us. Fine, let them try. They will learn the same lesson the Cath did. We do not start fights, but we finish them. The meeting continued for hours, planning contingencies and responses. But even as they planned, Chen felt a certain satisfaction. Earth was no longer reacting to threats. They were anticipating them. They were thinking strategically. They had become true players in galactic politics. 6 months later, the Relentless launched. Admiral Rodriguez commanded her on her maiden voyage, a patrol of the outer colonies. The ship performed flawlessly, her systems even more refined than the Indomitables, based on combat data from the Battle of Earth. Admiral Vasquez, now promoted to fleet admiral and commander of all human dreadnoughts, watched the launch from her office on Earth. She had been offered retirement, a chance to rest after decades of service. She had refused. There was too much work to do. Her console chimed with an incoming message. It was from Ambassador Chen, sending his congratulations on the successful launch, but there was a second message attached marked urgent and classified.